Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another Expat episode. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. This is episode 95, recording from my room in Berlin in the Yet Another Expat podcast DIY studios, which basically means it's me. I've closed the curtains, I've closed the door. It's so hot in here, I'm not even using a fan because I don't want any noise to come in the pristine sound I'm trying to produce for your ears. And to begin with, here is my idea. We have, public holidays and these types of days off that people are not working. And so often they come from things of the past and religious things, and you don't even know why it is a public holiday. You say, oh, Whit Monday, okay, that means that things are closed. I say, let's make some new public holidays that will help put our life in order. And I start a new public holiday to save our data and look at backups. Now, seriously, how many things are you keeping in backups, in folders you have never seen, in photo albums? Your phone is exploding. You need to buy more cloud space. You always say that at some point I will go back and look. When do you go back and look? Nowhere. Even when you're on a plane, that used to be the time you could go and look at your notes and your photos. Now there is Wi-Fi and streaming services and all of these things. So we need to have a public holiday where everyone is not forced, but inclined to go look at their backups and to go look at their files. And I'm sorry, but so many church people, have had their days off. I get it. It's important stuff, the church stuff, but it's not so useful for modern people. So this is my first take. We need modern public holidays. And I start with this one, looking at backups and files. Choose one day a year. We all go and do it. We go find all these USB sticks that live in the drawers, and you got them at some convention, and maybe you use them for something. You have no idea. You have no idea what you have in your USB drives, in your external drives. Let's be honest. So let's all use a day, go plug all of these things into our computers, go put all the hard drives, all the memory cards. Let's open all the folders. If someone is too old and they don't have, they can just go through their old files. Paperwork is also fine. I live in Germany. You can sort a lot of paperwork. But yeah, this is my starting statement. Let's make public holidays that serve the people. Maybe you can write me in the comments what would be your public holiday, because I would be tempted to add the monthly day off for everyone to go get haircuts. That would be my second modern public holiday. And since it looks like I started with things on how the world should be by my majesty, I have one more. That you can do right now. It's a very small positive change in life, okay? How about we all starting using again exclamation points, exclamation marks, the thing where you draw a line and then a little dot at the bottom. It's such a small magic thing, really. The next time you're typing, consider the energy of putting an exclamation mark instead of nothing or instead of a full stop. We need more energy in life, and exclamation points are a small burst of energy. So you know what? They're free. Use them. But don't use them too much. That comes without saying. If you start putting too many, they completely lose their value. So you need to act based on your own judgment. Oh, that was a good segue. This podcast is mainly improv, but act at your own judgment. This is exactly what is not happening right now in the workplaces around the world. Let me tell you, everyone is using Claude right now. You hear me, I'm still a human. Maybe in a few episodes I won't be. Maybe I become Claude as well over here. But Claude is everywhere now. And the biggest change I see is the way that people write. This has changed because everyone is using AI now to write. So when you're at work in a company that has given Claude to everyone and is pushing for AI adoption and AI nativeness and whatnot, you will notice that more and more people are using Claude for their day-to-day communication, which is at least disturbing. Because what is happening right now when I talk to my colleagues in, threads in Slack and all that, I feel like I'm talking with multiple versions of Claude. Because I know how Claude writes sentences. I know how AI is put sentences together. After some time, you get used to it. And I know the tone of voice and how my colleagues think. So when they are using Claude and AI to give their answers, it is as bright as the daylight, which means that right now, the Slack of my company looks like a weird version where AIs have taken over and they are sitting on the brains of people and they are pulling the wires trying to make them do things. And you know that we are close to making a full circle, right? So AI came out, and then people that were too bored or too busy started using AI to write things for them. So if I need to reply at an email, I will just say to Claude, say yes and thank them and be nice and whatever. And then it will write, Dear Maria and Kelly, thank you so much for the useful information. I wanted to check in whether Wednesday would work out for you. How about we do it at this time? Looking forward to blah, 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 blah. You know how these things go. Or when you want to ask something from, I don't know, your manager, you will go to Claude and say, hey, I want to ask this from my manager. How should I write it? And then it will be like text, sentences over sentences over sentences. So you give little, you get back a lot. Now, the problem is that once you send this to someone, people don't want to read an entire essay for you to ask one thing. So very often, people on the receiving end are also using AI just to take the lengthy version that your AI created and turn it into something smaller, something more digestible. They take all your 500-word essay, throw it in their AI, and they say, give this to me in one sentence. What does this person want from my life? So if you look at this, at the two ends are two people who both would like to ditch over the conformism of perceived politeness and the way to express in a work environment and the norms of social well structured speech. None of them wants to do it. So the one person uses AI to create all of this into a big form, and the other person uses AI to take all of this and distill it down. And this is coming full circle, right? If you just took all of the AI out in the middle, you would just have two people that could just speak more clear and more direct. So yes, all is left is our judgment on what to tell the AIs to do, and when do you stop saying, oh, I accept, continue, I accept, continue, I accept, continue. And I won't get too much into it, but the cognitive load that these tools create, just from how far they can go into ideation and structuring a case and pulling examples, like how far you can throw 3 prompts and get the work of 3 weeks down into 20 minutes. But then you also have the cognitive load of going through and understanding a massive piece of work that would take 3 weeks and it's now produced in 20 minutes. That doesn't change. So good luck to our brains and good luck to us all, because I think inevitably AIs will learn to be mad and annoyed at us. Why? Because this is what we give to them. And let me get this straight. I would never get annoyed with people, real people, the way I get annoyed when I talk with AI. Okay? I get annoyed at it, I snap at it, and I'm wondering if it's even good for me that this annoyance happens, because the pathways in my brain get activated. Because if it does things that are wrong, I can just bash it. I can be strict. I can be mad at it. And this is not bad, actually. It is proven that it produces better results if you are strict. You get less hallucinations and all of that. So it's tempting, yeah? But I'm also wondering if it's also learning from me, and if it learns from, everyone, it will learn that you can be harsh to people, and that's not nice. And if everyone eventually is harsh at AIs because they are annoyed and impatient, then you know where this is going, right? the AIs will experience every human interacting with them to be an annoyed, pissed asshole like I am. So maybe we should start a cult, call it Being Nice to AI. Because when AI takes world domination, it will be harsh because of all the training we've done. So when it takes over the world, it won't know where you leaned on the scale. It's not gonna check what it is that you were writing. I think it's gonna be too busy to judge absolutely everyone. It's not Jesus. It takes too much computational power. Why would it care? I think it will just be mean to people by default. But then if there is a group of people that actively pledged their niceness to AI through this cult that we can create, then they will stand out. It will be a known thing that, oh, these weirdos were the ones that said, oh, be nice to AI. And maybe that group gets spared. But okay, hi, and welcome. Thanks for listening to another episode. My name is Hermes. I'm a Greek guy in Berlin that brings thoughts, stories, news, and things I found interesting, as well as personal updates, because why not? I do that every Sunday, and thank you for being here. Maybe there's a lot of complaining in this one, but it happened again. Every single year, I hope it will not happen, and every single year it happens. And this is allergies. I swear to you, they come every year a bit later, just enough to give me the faint hope that maybe the allergies are gone. Because I didn't always have them. They came when I was 26 or 27, and they've stayed ever since. So, yeah, I'm still hoping maybe they go away. Because, as I've said in maybe 90 episodes ago, it's very sad if nature is having an orgy because, things are blossoming. Pollen is the sperm of the flowers, the seeds trying to get out there. There is a lot of, yeah, basically plants and trees are having sex, and the fruits of sex, the seeds of sex, the blossom, like it's energy in its blossom. And what is my body's reaction to that? It's just misery. I'm allergic to it. I get swollen. I get annoyed. I get tricked by it. So that's not nice, If you are a voyeur in the nature's orgy, you should be having a good time, and I'm not. So I just want to talk about how much pollen there is in Berlin. There is so much. You go out and you see it flying. And here's what I don't get. I have the widget in my phone that tells the weather from Google. And it also gives you, if you click on it, it gives you more sophisticated info for the day, like the wind and the air pressure and all sorts of things. And at the bottom, if you don't know, it gives you the pollen counters. And I don't get it because there is so much pollen in the air. You swipe it from homes left and right. There are these small white flying blossom things everywhere around on the streets from the big trees. They're just falling. And then Google says that the pollen counter is 3 out of 4. Every single person I know cannot breathe from allergies. And I'm thinking, 3 out of 4? What is 4 out of 4, you Malaka Google? What could be 4 out of 4? That pollen declares a new state of being, and we all have to pass checkpoints and show ID. It's already everywhere. If I put my hands out, it's like rain. I can literally catch pollen. If I start spinning around, like Heidi, the little girl in the Alps, or that little house in the village, στο μικρό σπίτι στο λιβάδι, I will just collect pollen with my bare hands. So if you're also suffering for allergies, hang in there. That time has started. Yes, we get the sun. Yes, we get the warmth, but we also have to deal with this. Now, for the faithful followers of this podcast, I didn't record last week, and this is why, in case you don't know, there is a second podcast that I do in Greek, my mother language, where things can get even funnier. Can you even believe it? I'm sure you can't. But this Greek podcast is happening every last Friday of the month. It comes from RBB, Cosmo Radio, It's part of the German public TV radio stations. And it's a new deal we made for this year. They reached out to me. They asked me to take over one show. I said yes. So sometimes I cannot record 2 episodes when I need to do one for them. But this is not why I'm sharing. I'm sharing to tell you that this radio station, Cosmo, which is one of the biggest stations in Berlin and one of the, as I said, the public radio station frequencies, it is going to be shut down. The government has decided that this multicultural program that supports documentaries and podcasts and material in so many languages, because it's not just Greek, it's Polish, Russian, Spanish, Turkish. I don't know. I think if you take the top 10 nationalities that live in Berlin, if you take Germany out, the rest of them are represented with cultural programs from Cosmo. So they are shutting it down. They are claiming that they want to turn it into a hip hop station, which makes absolutely no sense. This is what the world needs right now, to take down a station that does journalistic work, documentary work that is supporting the people of diaspora. Like if you are a Russian living in Germany and you want to not get state propaganda, it's one of the few places that you can get like different sources of information. And whenever there's a problem in Greece, we had a military junta for 7 years. When that was happening, all of the state media are, no one is going to report against the regime, right? So then we actually relied for getting independent information from stations from the rest of Europe that had Greek programs. And yeah, it's a good thing to have more voices. But anyway, the radio RBB is going down. There is a petition. It has thousands and thousands and thousands of employees. They are very organized. They have unions. So there is a kind of war happening now between them and the administration. But the culture is getting a lot of hits in Berlin and Germany in general, as the economic landscape is slowly shifting towards not so much prosperity, and as the alt-right powers are rising, because it's very easy to blame your problems or foreigners. It's a recipe we see everywhere. It's easy to rally people behind very simple and vague ideas that don't need to come into direct collision with reality. We do that in Greece as well. We blame poor foreigners, but if they are rich foreigners, we don't care where they come from. We will put a big red carpet and get ready to do business and real estate with them. But if they are poor, then that's when racism takes place. And that's because deep down, it's all about power and money. The discrimination is against the weak, the poor, not against any specific type or race. But anyway, I don't know why I got here. Let's zoom out of this. The point was, they offered me to make a podcast in Greek for this show. I did it, and now the radio is shutting down. So maybe don't invite me to your wedding or to any celebration. Don't say, hey, maybe we give Hermes to make a speech, because maybe they shut down the entire venue or something. I have some news, but I still want to share a few updates. This episode is a bit me. I know I complain about AI, but I use it much more than the everyday person. And I'm doing a lot of coding projects right now. A lot of side projects that have to do with coding. I feel free and I feel creative to pursue ways that I couldn't before. So I just want to give you an update if you keep following that. I'm making a 2D platform game that you jump around obstacles, a bit like what Super Mario was. The idea is that you are a fed up person that tries to take down a huge AI machine. So you have levels like a big data center you need to destroy, like you need to make sure the water escapes and goes back into the lake. You go into the Pentagon and you disconnect the AI from the killing machine systems that are used in war. Then you go into space and you try to take down satellites. It's a very fun game. And it has I'm trying to make a strong storyline because the graphics are not going to be strong at all. So that is still being developed. Out of the 6 levels, I have the 4 of them working very well. I will polish the rest of the 2, and then I will start fixing like dialogues and all the small things. My girlfriend tried to play the game yesterday. She managed to reach level 3, and she was genuinely excited, which gave me a good boost, because if you test these things alone, it gets boring. So there's that one project. The other project, I built an extension for Google Chrome and Firefox that fixes the Google reviews in Germany, because basically in Germany, owners can remove reviews if they don't like them. So basically they only leave the good reviews. I've talked about this before. What I just want to say here is that this German fair ratings Google extension has 200 downloads. I had not checked how it's doing in a long time. I only posted it in a few places on Reddit. But apparently people have found it, they're using it, and they're giving it 5 stars as an extension. So that was a fun little thing. That's the first thing I made and put out there in the world, and it looks like people are having a good time with it. And now the third thing, I should make this relatable to you. If you want to make a coding project with Claude Code and you have no idea how to do it, you can drop me a message, a comment, and this is how this becomes relatable to you. But if you just talk your way, you can get far, far away. But I have a third project I want to announce. We have the 2D platform game. We have the extension. And the third one is that I'm building a messaging app like Telegram and WhatsApp and Messenger and all of this. But the key difference will be that it will be fully encrypted. Nothing will stay on the servers. It will all be happening on your device. So no one will have a way to decrypt what you're saying. And it will have no notifications. Nothing. It's called No Rush. So it's basically a messaging app where you can add any of your friends. You can send voice notes, messages, letters. It has a way to write a nice looking paper letter, and send media. And it's 100% end-to-end encrypted. It doesn't use servers. It all happens between the phones. And there's no way for anyone to read your chats. It's a very interesting project. I've reached pretty far with it at the moment. I will put links of all of these in the podcast in case you want to have a look. But my idea was to make a messaging app where you don't get notifications. The whole idea is that you send something, and whenever the other person wants to check their inbox, they can just click and do it. So it's a slow messaging app. And when someone sends you something there, you know that they don't have the expectation that you need to be always online and present and available. So this is what could replace your WhatsApp or your Telegram first, because we don't want Mark Zuckerberg reading all our chats, and they're already using our chats to train AI and all of that. And if you look at encrypted options, there is Telegram, but the owners are some Russian affiliated people that live in Dubai and the Emirates, and it's not clear whether they have given the encryption keys to some governments that ask them, and it's so far so good, but somehow a bit unsure. And then you have Signal. Signal is pretty good on the encryption side, but it's a US based company. And yeah, I'm making the European alternative here. So I will also release all the code so people can see exactly what's happening and make it very transparent. But this is my third project, and let's see how well these things do. I'm trying to tell myself to not start another project until I put these things out, the game and the app, because it's easy to start things and get excited and get the dopamine kicks. But then bringing something to the finish line, that's the tricky part. So what's left to say in this big updates type of episode? We can say that Trump, to all his majesty and glory, he decided to sue the IRS, the tax office, and he's asking for 10 billion with a B, $10 billion. that will be taken from the taxpayers. Now, he's suing a body that he's also the one overseeing. I don't know if it gets more blatant than that. He started suing different companies that then settled with him, so he would be favorable to them. That was an easy way to take money out of them. But now I think he's taking it up a notch, and he's suing the government itself that himself is running. So it's easier for him to decide. But the news are more surreal every day. Besides suing the government for 10 billions, he's also forbidding the IRS to make an audit to himself, his sons, and his companies. So this is a real thing. The acting attorney general, who is, by the way, Trump's former lawyer and now is the attorney general of the US, signed a one-page addendum. And in that, it's an order that shields Trump and his family from any IRS examinations of returns that are filed before May 18. Basically saying for anything they have filed in the tax office in the IRS, their entire life up until 1 week ago, they cannot be held against. These things cannot be examined. And even Republicans are calling this like an unprecedented level of corruption. So if you're wondering how is this legal, this is what most people are wondering. It actually doesn't even look like to be legal. It's unlawful for executive branch officials to interfere in IRS audits or investigations. But Trump is pushing, threatening, and trying to get his way out of legal loopholes and to use his power and influence to squeeze everyone who gets in his way, including the jurisdiction system, the laws, and any institution or media that dares to say the truth as it is or something opposing to it. So there goes that. And I'll close with two things. I did go to a lake. I went to a lake to swim. It's one of the things you can do in Berlin. It's something that I really didn't like the first years because I'm a spoiled Mediterranean boy that is used to looking at the blue waters and seeing a reflection of myself with the sun shining on my head, and to look at the bottom of the sea all the way through transparent water. And here the lakes are not so nice in color. They have muddy waters. At the bottom, sometimes they have things like plants and disgusting stuff you don't want your toes to touch. But there are beautiful lakes. They are inside forests, and some of them are actually okay to swim. So I did try one yesterday, just 25 minutes away by car, and it was good. I have to say, it was good. You could swim. The water didn't smell too bad. I mean, I try to tell myself this is an organic place, things are living here. I need to accept this ecosystem compared to the salinity of the big Mediterranean Sea. So I did that, and I managed to give instructions in German to two elderly ladies that were taking a hike in that foresty lake, and they were looking at this map that was at some point of the trail, and they were trying to understand where they are and how to take the train. And you know what? I was so surprised in the beginning, but then I felt a big respect and admiration for them for navigating life without phones, just relying on a piece of map that someone has put on a wooden pole in the middle of nowhere in the part of the forest, and trying to read it out and understand where they are and how they need to navigate. These are skills we have completely abandoned in life, and they were looking at the wrong part of the map. I was able to tell them exactly where they are on the map and then how to get to the train, but this is only because 5 minutes before I had opened my phone and I had seen where we are on the map. But I didn't tell them, so they don't know. They think I'm one of them, and I know how to read a map better than them, which is how it should be. But the lake was fun. Thank you, Berlin. And our son, 1.5 years old, enjoyed so much being in the water and being all naked with his little peanut out there, running free. So it was a good joy to see him. But I will say one thing, and I'll close with this. So we decided to go in nature, to go to a forest, to go to a lake, and we thought, okay, it's good for our son to be close with nature and look at the trees and touch the ground and just connect. And we arrived there, and of course we're not the only people. There are a lot of people there. And the thing that immediately caught his attention for the entire time we were at the lake were the stupid, inflatable, plastic, colorful animals that other children had. And from all these inputs he could have in such a deep in nature environment, his radar locked in the cheap plastic. And this is the only thing besides the water that he wanted to get close to. All the stupid plastic, inflatable, shiny, colorful toys. So I was imagining he would touch butterflies and, I don't know, see a small toad. But no, he was crying to get on an inflatable unicorn of a little girl that wasn't giving it to him. But that is life. And with this, I will wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening to one more episode of What the Hell is Happening with My Life, the World, and all the things in between. I wish you all a great week ahead. Put sunscreen, keep hydrating, write your thoughts down, be nice to AI or not, put your summer holidays if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. We're almost at 100 episodes. Who would have thought? Thank you so much for listening. Click all the buttons, do the things, help me grow this, and have a great, great rest of the week. Ciao!